Namaste, greetings and blessings, and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts. This is our Sunday message, and I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, the founder and spiritual director of this center. And I invite you to watch not only this Sunday message, but any of our archived messages. I invite you to join any classes or events that we have going on. I invite you to reach out and email if you have any questions. Questions about this community, questions about me, questions about what we do, or questions about this science of mind and spirit, liberation theology that we practice and teach. And if by chance you find yourself seeking beloved community with other like-minded beings, even if you already belong, are a member of another community, church, or center, you are more than free to have multiple affiliations wherever you are fed and find community. You are invited. And lastly, feel free to click like, subscribe, and share this or any other message or announcements with others in your circle. And with that, much appreciation, love, and blessings. Enjoy the message. Namaste and greetings. Ha! My birthday is almost here. Okay, sorry. Whew. Focus. Planting my intentions to focus on today's message and not my birthday. I'm gonna be 59 in a couple of days. What's today? March 23rd. In 2 days, I will be 59. Okay, so planting my breathe, Ray. Planting my intentions. Today we are talking about this idea because as licensed science of mind practitioners, we understand this. And I'm offering this awareness because we are all practitioners, whether licensed or not. As science of mind practitioners, we know that our thoughts create our experience. Segue. It's not just our thoughts, but we say this phrase. However, because we live in a world of effects where there is an exorbitant amount of inequity, which includes classism, sexism, many of the other isms, the phobias, the misias. Our challenge and our invitation becomes, how do we rise high as we grow deeply? How do we, in the same way that a skyscraper is built, the higher it goes, the more deep and anchored must the foundation of the building be? How do we utilize our intentions to heal, to transform, and to evolve individually and collectively? What are the seeds, quote unquote, what are the seeds that we are planting into the law of mind in action? Wayne Dyer tells us that our intentions create our reality. Yes, but we're still going to do a remix. The remix being, intentions technically are ideas, and ideas in and of themselves do not create reality. Ideas are the first steps in the process of creating reality. It's important to be able to discern and understand, because a lot of people, what is that phrase we may know? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Intentions alone, there must be the action. We are all familiar with this idea, unless you're new. We are all familiar with this idea that I often speak about, our mental equivalents, thoughts, how we communicate, etc. That these are the four pillars for how we create our lived experiences. Of these four pillars, which one is the one that intentions would tie into? Got a guess? Come on, go for it. Come on. Yeah, and there you go. So intentions would be in the realm of our thoughts. We intend to say something. We intend to work out more. We intend, it is an idea, it is a thought, it is a concept in our consciousness. It's important to know that, in the concept, and we've heard, or we've said, we've studied this idea that faith without works, from the Bible, faith without works is dead. If that is in fact true, then it's important to understand that intention without effective work, action, behavior, habit is also dead. Dead meaning ineffective, irrelevant, void. Just like me holding a seed. Without putting the seed in something, this is an apple seed, and this apple seed, oh, the apples and the apple pie and the apple sherbet and the apple cider and the apple sauce and the apple, oh, so many. But if I never plant it, then it's dead. It's useless. So our intentions must be given greater capacity through our actions. An intention is simply an idea that you plan, something you intend to carry out. If you mean something, it's an intention. Your goal, purpose, or aim is your intention. It is something that you mean to do, whether you pull it off or not. An intention is a mental state in which a person commits to themselves to a certain course of action. But it doesn't mean the action is taking place yet. It's an idea in heart and mind, soul. It's an idea, but it needs to be acted upon in order to become a fully realized manifestation. So if I ask you, what's your plan? What's your intention? What do you intend to do? Intend to create? What's your plan? Keeping in mind, once again, that the plan in and of itself is nothing. There must be the intention plus the action. That's what equals the manifestation. Do you have a plan? Do you have an intention? Do you intend, not even just to say, I intend to meditate daily? Add on, I intend to meditate daily so that I be, do, have, so that I can be more peaceful, so that I am more peaceful, so that I can offer to whatever, be mindful of the both and. You're not just doing meditation for the sake of doing meditation. You're doing it because it affords you to feel something, to be something, to do something. You're not eating an apple just for the sake of eating an apple. You're eating an apple because of how it tastes. You love the crunch because it's nutritious. There's a reason for it. So what's your plan and what's the reason for your plan? What's your intention and what's your reason for the intention? Benjamin Franklin reminds us, by failing to prepare, we are actually preparing to fail. Full stop. What did he just say? If we are failing to prepare, think about a gymnast, Olympic gymnast, doesn't stretch, doesn't do warm-ups, doesn't show up to work out. They are failing to prepare. Then when the day comes for the actual competition, they have actually set themselves up for the greater likelihood that they will fail. Their muscles aren't prepared. The routine hasn't been rehearsed. They are increasing the likelihood that failure will be the result. What is the plan? Are you preparing for its creation, its manifestation? If you are not preparing for the realized answered prayer, then you are in fact preparing for its opposite. You are preparing for the prayer to not be answered. Are you preparing for this life you say you desire and want to live? If you are not preparing for it, if we are not preparing for a world that works for all, then we are actually preparing for that vision to fail. So once again, what is your action plan? What is your objective? Do you have it on a schedule? What is your method of checking in on progress? What is your action plan? Without an actual strategic plan to measure, to determine, to reevaluate, then what are we actually doing? Without a recipe, how do we know the ingredients actually go together the way we think they go together? I can't just go upstairs and throw flour in a bowl and throw 16 eggs in it and some vanilla and some cinnamon and whip it together and throw it in a pan and think it's a cake. I mean, I'm making something, but I'm not making what I would rather make if I actually had a recipe from one of my mother's cookbooks that actually tells me how to measure, how to sift, how to fold, how to do the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients. What is the actual plan that you have that prepares you for the manifestation? How are you sowing the seeds? What does it mean in your life to sow the seeds? Especially when we take into account the idea that in order for seeds to actually grow effectively, they need 5 things. In order for the seed to do what it's supposed to do, it needs light, it needs carbon dioxide, it needs water, it needs space so that when it grows, the roots and whatnot don't crowd each other, and it needs nutrients. So now let's swap that out and say, okay, so your idea, your intention, your prayer is a seed. What are the 5 things? What are the things that your prayer, that your intention, that your dream need in order to manifest? Because this is a divine demonstration of how the universe works. This seed needs 5 things in order to grow. Our spiritual seeds, our intellectual seeds, our emotional seeds, they also need some version of these things. Light, awareness, illumination, air, breath, the space to be present, space, room in which to create and grow, and like whatever these things are for you and your intentions and your ideas and your desires. Be mindful and check in. Are you effectively giving them what they need to grow? Amy Dickinson offers us, we are not our best intentions. We are what we do. Once again, the road to hell is paved with, I could have the greatest intentions to be nice to Tracy. I could have these great intentions to be kind to Tracy. I intend to fix her breakfast and dinner, when she has a boot on her foot. And I have all these great intentions. I intend to go visit my grandkids every day. And I intend to take them to the park. And I intend to take them on vacation and go to New York. I intend all these things. But what are my actions? Ray ain't cooked ne'er a thing for Tracy in 16 years. Ray hasn't been nice or kind, ain't shoveled no snow, nothing. Never took out the trash, nothing. So the intention isn't enough. The action needs to be there. So once again, how are we supplying our lives the effective ways to grow? The seeds of our thoughts, the seeds of our mental equivalents, how are we providing them the means to manifest accordingly? Gloria Steinem says, without leaps of imagination or dreaming, we lose the excitement of possibilities. Dreaming, after all, is a form of planning. Now, this is where we enter into that space once again of life-affirming dreaming versus non-life-affirming dreaming. Non-life-affirming dreaming is just, wouldn't it be nice if? Ooh. And life-affirming dreaming is, I catch the dream, and then I put it into action, and then it becomes a manifestation. Frederick Douglass dreamed of freedom. Harriet Tubman dreamed of freedom, and then they made it happen. So how are you allowing your imagination, your dreaming to fuel and excite you into action so that you manifest what you are dreaming about? So you manifest the prophetic vision of your life. See, it's easy to talk about excitement. It's easy to talk about, growing and unity and oneness. It's easy to talk about. It's easy to have the intention of building beloved community. It was easy to think about the idea of creating a virtual community called the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, where we're a bilingual community using spoken, written English, and American Sign Language. It's easy to have the intention. But until we actually sit down as minister, as board of trustees, as practitioners, as community, and actually make this thing a reality, it's just a seed sitting in a bag, never touching soil. But the moment we then get excited about the idea and come together with the idea, the more we then collaborate and cooperate to manifest the very thing that we intended. We do the same thing if we want to intend to create a world that works for all, then. How are we doing the exact same process? Because Antoine reminds us that a goal, an intention without a plan is simply a wish. It needs a plan. It needs the action. So there are tools. There's a path to hitting the target. There is a path to manifesting whatever it is, right? In order for there to be archery, there needs to be the bow, the arrows, the target. And even in that, there are aspects to or parts of the bow that need to be created and balanced the right way. There are parts to the arrow in order for it to fly the right way. It all needs to be there. What are the tools that you're using to hit the mark, to manifest the goal, to succeed at hitting the goal, creating it, growing it, evolving it, demonstrating it? What are the tools? Can you identify them? Can you identify the process? Because once you identify the tools and the process, then it becomes, what is your technique for follow through? That no matter what is going on, no matter the quote unquote limitations, just as this young woman, she has a certain physical limitation where she doesn't have the arms to, as most people would generally, you hold the bow, you pull the string with the other arm, and you let, she is doing this with her body and her feet. So no matter what your perceived limitations are, whether real or imagined, what is the process by which you use your tools, you take aim, and you manifest accordingly whatever the target is? If I plant tomato seeds, then my target is to grow tomatoes in order to put them in salad or other foods. My goal is to enjoy the tomatoes that I have grown, to eat and share the tomatoes I have grown. Not just to grow them. I'm not growing them to look at them like, oh, look at how pretty the tomatoes are. Oh, they're pretty. Not growing the tomatoes for the purpose of that. And even if I were growing roses, I'm not growing them simply to grow them. I'm growing them because they offer the aroma that I enjoy, the beauty that it attracts butterflies or bees, or I'm for the whole picture, not just I'm growing them for the sake of growing them. No. We're not creating a world that works for all just for the sake of creating a world that works for all. We're creating it because of what it means, what it offers. Do not wait for a change of environment before you act. Get a change of environment by action. You can so act upon the environment in which you are now as to cause yourself to be transferred to a better environment. Hold with faith and purpose the vision of yourself in the better environment, but act. But act. But hold the vision, hold the faith, but act upon your present environment with all your heart and with all your strength and with all your mind. Have the intention, but act. Have the dream, but act. Have the vision, act. And you don't just act with, it's just an arrow. No, you act with all your strength, the bow. You act with all your heart, the arrow, all your mind. the take aim, and the release, all of it is part of the process. So don't wait for them. Don't wait for that. Your whole heart, all your strength, all your mind, because all of that is your divine power. So don't wait, act. We are familiar with the idea of the little engine that could. I think I can. I think I can. Well, or these stairs where first it was, I won't do it. I can't do it. But I want to do it. How do I do it? I'll try to do it. I can do it. I will do it. I am doing it. Where upon these steps are you on any given day? Knowing that sometimes we fluctuate for a variety of reasons, but in general, what is your dominant position on these stairs? Do you tend to be more towards the I want to but can't? Or are you I will, I am, I will, I am, I can, I will, I am, I can, I will, I am? Where are you? Are you aware? Because the more aware you are, the more you can change your environment to climb, to ascend the stairs. Being mindful, as James Baldwin says, I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. In what way are you moving with integrity that what you say and what you do are the same? That someone knows that if you said it, I know it is as good as done. If you say you are going to do a thing, I can trust it because I know that your word and your deed are synonymous. Or do we tend to enter into the space of betrayal? Being mindful, being aware that betrayal shows up in more than one way, because we can betray self and we can betray other, which honestly, we can't betray another unless we've betrayed ourselves first. But what is betrayal and how does betrayal show up? Shows up as all kinds of things: hiding, lying, disrespect, bullying, being disloyal, and more. Do you betray yourself? Do you bully yourself? Do you lie to yourself? Do you have your own back? Do you betray others? Do you stonewall them? Do you withdraw from them? Are you disrespectful in any way towards them? How do you betray? Because the idea is, once again, going back to what James Baldwin said, how do we get back into that space of integrity where there is no betrayal? Because we have integrity. People, as we understand them, are the result of their conscious thought and action, plus their subjective reactions to life, plus that indefinable something, which is the spirit as them. Note that this spirit emerges through and as them, is aware of itself and aware of them. So we are the result of our conscious thought and how we act. And that all of this is made up of what we do consciously, what we do unconsciously or subconsciously. It is how it's all of it. And all of it is, whether conscious or not, it is how spirit is emerging in, through, and as us. And this is a very challenging thing for us to grapple when we think of dictators and narcissistic psychopaths. How can they be? If God is all there is, then they are God. They simply do not understand or are not aware of it, because if they were, they would act differently. But their life too is the result of their conscious and subconscious thoughts and actions. It works that way for all of us. So if we want to change things like war and racism, then let's be more conscious of what that means at the level of consciousness and how it shows up in thought, word, emotions, and actions, how it shows up in all of these areas. If we're going to heal a disease, then let's understand what causes the dis-ease. We are the sum of our actions, and therefore our habits make all the difference. If we were to look at your life and look at the things you do habitually, whether it's how you tie your shoes, put on a tie, cook dinner, if we look at all of your habits, what would your habits tell us about you? What would your habits tell us about what you believe about yourself, about God? Our habits are the actions when they click into a space of, I'm not even aware necessarily that I'm still doing this thing, because it's a habit now. The way I put my belt on, I don't have to think about it anymore. I just do it. So I could be talking to you while putting the belt on. It's a habit. It has hit the space of, it's now on autopilot. What would our autopilot, if we were to watch, what would the autopilot be informing others about us, our lives, what we think, what we believe, what we know? It is not our spirit that needs to be made whole. It is our mental reactions to life that need healing. These mental reactions are both conscious and subjective. Successful mental treatment must neutralize negative reactions on both the conscious and the subconscious plane. Successful spiritual mind treatment must neutralize the non-life affirming reactions on both the conscious and the subjective plane. So our spirit doesn't need to be healed. And as we say often, there is nothing that needs to be healed, only truth to be revealed. So what is the truth that we are revealing that heals our mental reactions and physical reactions and emotional reactions? How are we, or what does it even mean for there to be non-life affirming reactions on both the conscious and subjective plane? What does that mean for you? So that it's not simply a quote that we're reading and Reverend Ray is reciting and Ashley is interpreting, but that we really understand what this means. On the conscious plane of my life and the subjective plane of my life, there is an invitation to neutralize the non-life affirming reactions. What are non-life affirming reactions? What causes those non-life affirming reactions? And how are they showing up? On the conscious plane, where I am awake and aware and active, and on the subjective plane, the relative plane, etc. Breathe. So when we think about this idea of healing, we could think of it sort of like kintsugi, the Japanese art of gold and joinery. Because the artisan isn't quote unquote healing themselves. They are healing the broken plate. They are taking the pieces, the shards of pottery, and they are rejoining them which in a way represents an aspect of ourselves where we have been broken and we rejoin the pieces of our heart and our mind and our soul and our relationships. Yes. But ultimately, the action, the activity, and the artist ultimately are not the same, because the artist isn't the plate. The plate is the plate, but the symbolism of it. Where in the artist is there a broken teacup? Symbolically, that through the activity of mending the teacup, the broken pieces of their own conscious and subjective realities and levels and planes are also brought together and healed. Because if we're really honest, all of us in some way, shape, or form have been broken. It's one of the reasons why I love this statue that I don't even know if it's still in New York, but it used to be in New York. But it gives us the insight that says we are not broken for the sake of being broken, but we can, in the broken places, allow the light of our divinity to shine through. We don't have to be broken to be made whole. We are whole already. But if something happens and we are grieving, there's a broken heart. We are sad, there is brokenness. There is things going on in the world, brokenness, broken systems. Even if the system was designed to do exactly what it's doing, there is brokenness that is causing that and creating it. So the invitation is identify where the broken pieces are, identify the place where the cracks are, because it is precisely there that the light shines through. It's not bad. It's not wrong. But it is an invitation for us to recognize it and do what is ours to do to show up differently, to show up in a more empowered way. There is no such thing as a human mind and a divine mind. There is no such thing as dualism, even though for linguistic convenience we talk about it, we use it. There is no such thing as God and man. There can't be. There is only what is and the way it works. There can be nothing in the universe ultimately but action and reaction. The action being conscious intelligence and awareness, and the reaction intelligence unconsciously operating without an awareness. Now, if you remember, I guess it was last week, maybe the week before, when I talked about how we can use language based upon where we are and who we're talking to. We can talk about dualism. We can talk about my mind, your mind, God's mind. We can talk about it to convey an idea, but understanding that back of that idea, where the language is insufficient to actually say what it is we to say, back of it, we know there is only God. God showing up as each individual person. But each individual person are not separate from God, they are God. And there isn't God and them, there is only God as them. So it's a both and. We understand in the same way that when I was taking Spanish in middle school, the name that was used in Spanish class, Ramon. That was my name. So in that class, in that room with those classmates and that instructor, I used the language, and that language was used to identify me, Ramon. But that was not the name on my birth certificate. So that was not the name outside of that room. But when in the room, when in Rome, when need be, we can talk about dualism and separation and all of that stuff. But we can also go outside of that room into the more expanded reality of, I know that there is only God, and that which God is infinite and absolute oneness, showing up as, in, through all else. infinite oneness. There is only the one, and the one, God, shows up as everything. If you remember, I think it was last week, Voltaire said God is a circle, circumference, nowhere, center, everywhere. All that God is, infinite oneness, the absolute. All. That's it. No matter where we look, God. No matter what we pick up, God. No matter what we drink, God. No matter God. But we use the labels to call certain things phone, lip balm, eyeglasses. We use labels for the purpose of communication. But back of it all, the truth of it all, the foundation of it all, God. And when we know that, then our ability to set an intention, act on the intention, and manifest is greatly increased, empowered. The Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0 teaches us that we are oneness, God, expressing itself as us. No matter the many, there is but one source from which all is incarnating. Knowing that we are it, we also know that the creative power it is must also be available to us because it's available to itself as us. Setting our intention is one step in the creative process. It is the sowing of the seeds. We then engage in the nurturing, planning, strategizing, etc., until the plant, the intention, is manifest. Our intentions must also be God's intentions expressing in, through, and as us. Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0 teaches us how to be masterful manifestors and spirit-led stewards of our divinity by aligning our mental equivalents in effective, life-affirming ways. Breathe. Remember, Octavia E. Butler says, all that you touch, you change. And all that you change changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. How are we ebbing and flowing through the vast changes of the infinite cosmos? Because if God is change, then each of us also is change. Today's affirmation declaration, I will say it first, and if it resonates with you, say it with me the second time around. Today is a good day to start sowing the seeds of a new intention. Together. Today is a good day to start sowing the seeds of a new intention. So it is. This week's Thursday night study group questions or your own personal journal questions. Number 1. When have I set an intention and followed through? How did it feel to succeed? When have I set an intention and not followed through? What did I not follow through? Right? Like what did you do to not follow through? How did it feel to not follow through? So did I not follow, just to clarify, what did I not follow through? Did you not follow through on the plan? Did you not follow, like, what was it that you didn't follow through with? What part of the process? Just to clarify. Number 2, what is a goal that I am currently not effectively manifesting? And what is the hindrance? What's holding me back? Number 3, what is an example of something I am currently intending? And what am I doing to make it a reality? Number 4, where or how is my intention setting contributing to manifesting a world that works for all? We could ask, it's not up there, where or how is my intention setting taking away from manifest? Like we could ask that, but we're not. Number 5, what am I invited to do more of or less of to be able to navigate the tides of life more effectively? And so it is. As we enter into that space of infinite awareness, knowing that the all that is right where we are, and that the power we have to set an intention and follow it through to manifestation is ours by divine design, because that is the way God shows up. It's how God shows up, whether it's an idea to draw that becomes the drawing, that becomes the painting, it's the way God shows up. Whether it's the planting of a seed and the seed becomes the plant and the plant becomes the vegetables or the flowers, it's how God shows up. The way the potter takes the clay from the earth and puts it on the wheel and turns it into a vase, and the vase holds water, it's how God shows up. All of creation is a divine demonstration of this exact same creative process of how God shows up. And so in this moment, we are invited to actively participate, actively co-create in, with, and as this same process, to allow our ideas, our dreams, our desires to all move all the way through to full manifestation. To not let the faith die on the vine, but to allow the faith to grow and mature and offer fruit. The fruit of the divine demonstration, the fruit of answered prayer. So we practice this week, setting an intention and following through to the amen. And speaking of the amen, that is the reminder that amen isn't simply something we say, but amen is the way that we live. Prayer is how we show up. Prayer is how we set an intention, have a plan of action, act accordingly, and then demonstrate. That is prayer. So this week, we more actively practice and engage in the divine practice of the divine demonstration of God showing up. Breathe. And so it is. Namaste and blessings. Much love and appreciation. As always, see you somewhere during the week if you're attending anything we're offering this week. Otherwise, see you next Sunday. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, anything, feel free to send an email or a text message or find me on Facebook. Anything you want to do, let's chat. Love you and appreciate you.